Hello. I'm getting pretty close to finishing my Dollar Tree Challenge journal, and I wanted to show you a couple ideas for things that you could do using punches and dies. So we came back with a limited number of supplies. Some of them included these great multicolored index cards, and I also picked up a couple of these sticky notes that are plastic. And what I thought was having like a couple very simple basic dies would make a really big difference. So I decided to go with a star theme and use some circles to round it out. So when you are using dies and punches for these, it is pretty easy to go through this index card paper and to go through the paper from the book itself. So here I punched out a bunch of stars, including stuff from the pages from this book that included this shiny bronzish color and other different colors from the books themselves. So that gives me a lot of variety to decorate with. And cutting, either cutting with a die cut or using a simple punch like this is pretty straightforward, going through one sheet of paper, book page or index card, but it cannot cut through this plastic very easily. So I could probably use a die cutting machine to get through this, but the punches don't work well with cutting through this plastic. So a couple of different ideas I came up with. I have this very simple tag. We've got a star that I cut out, and I took one of these and I glued it on the inside there. So you could have a double layer here. You could cover this with book page or something like that, or otherwise do something simple to cover up the back and make it easier to work with. But you can get yourself a pretty simple tag here with the cute decoration with a little window or a different backing on the other side to give it a different color or interest. So that's one simple idea. Another idea I had was to create a little paperclip decoration. So what I did here was I took this punch, I punched it 3 times, I cut it out and folded it over, and I took a piece of this, cut it out and put it in there so that I can get this pattern in here. So I'm just going to slip this, oops, wrong side here. Just going to slip this paper clip in here, and then I'm going to glue it together. So now we have this cute decoration with 3 stars that could go onto the inside of a page. And it's pretty straightforward. You could, if you're able to line up the stars, you could try doing, well, I wouldn't recommend trying to punch through two sheets of paper with some of these punches, but you could make them fully see-through. You could make it longer and just wrap around the top only, or slip something else in there. So that's just a quick idea. I had another punch that was like an edge punch that I used on these so that you could have a star pattern on the edge, so you've got something different on the edges of these pages here. And then I made these little charms that I could use to dangle off of there, which was, all I did here was I took 2 of these, punched out 2 circles, and then I lined them up, and then I used the star die cut in the center to make sure that they were fully lined up so that it would be aligned. And then I just have to keep the orientation and glue this inside. Then you could take a little, crocodile or some other like hole making tool or just an awl. put a hole all through here, and then you've got a little decoration that you could add to decorate your journals. So that's just a couple different things that I've been looking at. You don't need a whole lot of supplies. Having a couple punches can really make a difference in giving you a lot of variety using a couple simple papers that you have. So at this point, I'm pretty close to being able to finish up this journal. I don't know if it'll be done today, but it'll be pretty close here. I have done some coloring in on 2 colored pages, the dragon and the flowers, and then I fussy cut out the dragon and put it on top of the flower page. And I thought that would make a nice cover image. Oops. So I thought that would look really nice on here, on the front. I took some of that faux velvet to cover the spine. And I discovered that it matters which direction you cut, because this is supposed to be 2 inches, but it rolled up so aggressively on me that I really had to turn it around and cut the other side in order to get something that I could work with, because this was just impossible. But hey, maybe I could use this as some sort of decoration. Oh, hey, maybe a closure. Could be a closure. It's pretty stretchy. Yeah, might do that. Then I have this dragon here that I cut out. I think I had cut something. The other dragon was on the back page of this. But I was able to save this top part here. So I thought that would be fun to use as the back. And I could decorate it one day. I could come back and color it in maybe. It'll just be up to, you know, my future interest here. And then once I do, I could cover it in a varnish or something like that. So on this side, this has some varnish on it. I don't know if that was really the right move. I'll see if it made any difference here. It did make the colors look a little more muted from this. I don't think it was, what you call it? I don't think it was water-based. I think it was some sort of other solvent on there that I used on this varnish, but I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference. We'll see. So then the only other the main thing that I wanted to do in here was kind of cover up all of these like writing and sayings in here, because they weren't really my style. I just didn't I wanted the words to be less distracting from like the overarching dragons and flowers theme that I was going with here. So I'm just going through and covering these up with some paper that I cut out of the coloring books that I'm using for this project here. And the I cut up some of this as well, so I'm just flipping through here and decorating those. So here we've got the cover page. And by covering these up, I think that I'm making it more usable, giving me things to color and to write on, and add more of my personal journaling into this book than the contents that were originally on these pages. Here I thought, I don't know if it would make really much of a good, oops, not this one, something smaller maybe. It could be a pocket. If it doesn't work out very well with things sliding in and out of there, I might just glue it down entirely. I mean, it was an idea, might not be the most useful idea. There are other ways to make this cutout more useful. One, I could have had fewer stars cut out of there, so it had more structural integrity. Another way would have been to have backed it with some sort of plastic, or, you know, multiples of these somehow if you wanted to glue those on there, so that you wouldn't have to rub up against these the insides of these stars as they were pushing things in like this. But it could potentially be used as a pocket very delicately. And I'm thinking that I could still potentially color on these coloring pages in here as well. It gives me options so that I could do the coloring, I could cover it in something else, I could use the image as a starting point to do some sort of collage. There are different things that I could do with these pages now that the words are less distracting here. So I think that you don't need a whole lot of supplies to get something cohesive together and do something interesting. As long as you have a couple things that kind of go together, you could mix and match them in all sorts of ways to make something interesting and fun. So I think I only have a couple more of these pages in here. Then we can do a quick flip through and consider it pretty good for now. I mean, I know that there's a variety of ways in which I can get really fancy with what I'm doing here. You know, do other complicated combinations of cutouts and the plastic sticky notes. I was thinking about making a shaker, but I didn't know if I just didn't think that having these little stars in here were going to look very nice behind one of these pages. I just didn't think it would look as distinctive as I was imagining when I initially thought about it. But I might change my mind here. I might still do something like that in the future. So, and then maybe this one would be a final pocket that I stick on the back here. So you can see here that I'm not gluing all the way to the edge. If I glue to the edge, there would be very little give here. By having some space on the outsides, I can have a little flex and have more capacity in this pocket to bring things in and out. And back to share a couple more embellishment ideas for my Dollar Tree journal and then do a final flip through. So my first idea that I wanted to share with you were these paper beads. So all I did was I cut triangular strips out of this paper from the book itself, and I used that to roll it up into these beads. So I cut a triangle, try to get a bit of a fold at the top going to help me secure it, and we want it to be even. And then I want to cut off this white stuff so that it doesn't look out of place on a purple bead, and then maybe shave off a little more here to make it a little more even and give it a little more stability at the top there. So this paper is actually fairly thick, which adds a little challenge to the rolling of this paper. And as you glue this together, you may need to hold on to it a little longer than you might expect in order to let the glue set, at least when you're using wet glue like I am here. So we're just rolling up the triangle so that we can get one of these shapes where the it's slightly rounded. And then we glue this down, and if we get it right, we're able to get some of this corner decoration onto the bead itself. I just need to give it a moment to let it dry and take hold in this position, or else the end will start popping out. So I added a couple of these beads here. I've got one of these purple ones with that end. Here's a white one that I was using for practice. I thought the purple and white went together well on here to bring more of the colors together in a more cohesive way. And I got plenty of paper, so I could make a bunch more of these beads to add additional decorations to the outside, or do some sort of other dangles. So this is dried up, turned out okay. And again, it's got that fun golden decoration on the side there. So we've got this. And then I also was working on making some paper clips. This one I showed you before, where I had folded over, I had punched out 3 stars, and then I had folded over a piece of index card with a bit of the transparent sticky note in there. Then I just glued it together, and that just made a cute little tag there. This one here, it's just a bit of this purple vellum, or velvet, or whatever this stretchy, fluffy purple thing is. So I just cut off a piece of this purple stuff. Doesn't take a whole lot. Adds a little touch of something fun and whimsical to stick out of there. And then here I used a piece of that transparent sticky and folded it over, so I can take one of these. We just want to cut it to size to fit within the length of this paper clip here. So we can take this non-sticky end get it in there, and then it already comes with a stickiness, so you could fold it over and stick it together to have a little flag that you could write on, or otherwise use as a decoration. Now, what the thing to keep in mind when using these sticky notes is that not every writing utensil is going to be able to work on it. So right here I've got a pencil and I've got a white gel pen, but there's a lot of other pens that will just rub off, especially if it's got like a water base to it. So that's a couple of different page flag ideas using paper clips. Now let me move on to just doing a quick flip through and showing you a couple other decorations that I did to this journal. So I went ahead and used that piece of velvet and tied it as a closure. I've got that. I used one of these coin envelopes and then I cut it in half. So you can make it any size you want, up to the full size or make it smaller. And so what I have here, I had used the circle punch to punch out a divot, and then I wrapped the sticky note over it and glued it down in order to make a little bit of a decoration there. Then here we have our index cards with the die cut star edges, doily, flyleaf, napkin on the back of this stationery. Here's a doily folded over. We've got this coloring page glued in there. And then I've got another one of these coin envelopes, full size. I chomped a circle out of there, and then I glued a sticky note over it in order to create this holy effect there. And throughout I have added, some of the stars that I had punched out. So got some of that coloring page. This one here, I took an index card, cut it down to size, and I had used a punch in order to get this whale tail tab. You could use a punch or a die cut, or cut something by hand in order to give you something to grab onto and help maneuver it into this pocket with the die cut stars in it. So definitely took advantage of all of the spare stars that I had. Here's another coin envelope with the punched edge on this index card. I flipped this around so that you have the lines if you wanted to write on the circle. More of that doily. Another coin envelope with a tag with some of this velvet on top. And we come to the end here with one more coin envelope. And then another piece of coloring page on the back side. So I hope you give this a shot. See what you can grab from the Dollar Tree and see what you can come up with. I didn't use all the things that I had purchased. Of all the items that I purchased, I think I spent about $14.25. So I would say that there's a couple things that I did use pretty enough to say that, you know, it's half used or like significantly used, including like a piece of this velvet, and then taking out a bunch of the pages from these two coloring books. I've certainly taken pages out of there, and the book that I used for the journal itself. So those could be considered fully used. But basically everything else, I only used a portion of. So I've got a lot of these sticky notes left. I have a whole bunch of these index cards left. A lot of coin envelopes. 19 out of the 20 napkins here. This whole pad of paper. And of course, most of the doilies. So I think that this came out to, given that I'll be able to use all of this other stuff somewhere else, this was not a bad investment, getting all these supplies in order to put together this journal. So thanks for watching.